The thing about it, this is the thing. Was I assigned? Was that my cross to carry? Was I that Boaz? Was I that person's partner to walk them through that as we grow together? What up, what up, what up, man? What's going on, Mr. Cole? Listen, I couldn't keep on having keep having that conversation behind the scenes. We're gonna do something different tonight, man. We trying to go live from our podcast channel, and then we're gonna share it out on a regular on our regular pages, man. So listen, we are not going to have you out here. Let's see if I can do that. I don't know if we can, man. Let's see if we can do that. Can we share it?
Please.
Let's see. Oh, I think we can share it. I think we can share
You doing it?
Yep, I'm gonna share it.
Man, I swear.
But listen, man.
My little janky setups be so janked up.
Yo, listen. I mean, you work in progress, man. But listen, we are not going to start this podcast. You talking all that stuff behind the scenes and not share with the people, because the people. Or was that just for me?
That was supposed to be just for you, but since we didn't put me out here, we might as well talk about it.
Well, listen.
I was trying to get some advice from a married man.
Listen,
you know what I'm saying, with lived experience.
But this is the thing. This is the thing, man. Pose your question. What did you say? So, I'm having conversations with my family, my sons, and we've been talking about partnership. What does it look like to partner with someone? And in particular, do you partner with somebody because you want them and they want you? Or do you partner with them because they need you or you need them? And then what happens when you discover that the person you actually want or actually need, so that's where it gets tricky. The person you actually need isn't really the person that you're attracted to, but it's that they're actually the person that could really be the support that you need, that other half. So it becomes really tricky. And so how do you navigate that? Especially in a time where everything is so digital, everything is just a swipe up, a swipe left, a swipe right, and you're really trying to figure out, how to become one with someone. And is that even what you're supposed to be doing? So I wanted a perspective from a married man who, has a family, and just like, how do you do this? How do you pick? How do you make the decision? It was challenging. Yeah. Man, this is man. I wish Tasha was here tonight to be able to chime on this. But my thing is, man, and I was just having this conversation with my daughter, but the biggest thing for me is that I was attracted to my wife, physically. I was physically attracted to her, right? But the thing about it, what set her apart was that she had a lot of qualities. She didn't have everything, but she had a lot of qualities that I was looking for. And those things that she didn't have wasn't a deal breaker, right? I really on purpose focus on what she was bringing to the table, like what values that she had, like what she had to offer versus what she didn't offer, right? Because a lot of times, man, what they don't offer can be louder than what they do offer. And, and it's different when you first starting, right? Because you're like, yo, we not committed. And do I even want to grow and have to go through that process with somebody I'm not married to, right? Because it's easier to go through all of those things with somebody you married with versus somebody you're dating.
Right.
But I was at the stage where I'm like, yo, I'm willing to take a risk, and I'm going to focus on me in this relationship. I'm not going to worry about what she doesn't have. I'm going to just give her all of me. Right? You know, without strings attached. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing about love, man. That's the thing about when you're trying to get in a relationship. If I go in with all of these isms and schisms, like, I ain't doing this and I'm not doing that, I'm already starting for failure. It's the same thing when I got married. I didn't have a what if it didn't work plan.
Okay.
Like, that wasn't an option. It's like, so the moment that I said, yo, this is the woman that I want to at least get serious with and introduce her to my mom, I'm going all out. Like, I'm risking giving her my heart, knowing that I might get hurt.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, please.
Yeah. So one of the things I think what I heard you say too, and is that one step to this is really doing a self-assessment about what I value.
Oh.
And so one is a self-assessment of what I value. Two, I heard you just sort of say, hey, let's do some asset-based stuff around looking at my particular partner as looking at their assets and their strengths versus looking at the deficits that they come with. Which I don't necessarily. So yeah, so people show up with all the assets, which is of course, so they show up with all of that. So how do you decipher through? Okay, yeah, attractive, all those basic qualities, but how do you move through that in terms of like, well, yeah, this is the person that I want? Because sometimes people are present real well.
Let me tell you something.
And then you unpack that presentation, you're like, oh shoot, I didn't know that was there.
Let me tell you something. Pressure bust pipes.
Here we go.
Pressure bust pipes, bro.
Okay, so, here we go.
I'm just saying, bro, listen, pressure bust pipes. And so it's going to be revealed. If there's a squeaky wheel, it's going to make noise. If there's a weakness in their armor, it's going to reveal itself, right? So I don't have to go looking for it. It's going to reveal itself. I have to trust what I see.
Okay.
I can't justify what I see because I can't sustain something that's fake and false. I can only sustain for long periods of time what is true, what is noble, what is honorable. That is the only thing that could be sustained. So yeah, you can go through my phone and look. I don't care if you look through my phone today or if you look through my phone 10 years from now. I don't care. You can have the code to my phone. Why? Because you're not going to find anything. But if I'm when I was cheating, I had to keep up with the cheat. I had to keep up with the lie. And then you lying on top of this lie. And I'm being fake after this fake. So it's hard to be sustainable in that.
So Sean, let me ask you this now that we brought up cheating.
Yep.
Do we reflect what's in us? So do I end up with somebody that's cheating because I'm not quite clear what I want? So, you know, how do you then that's the other part. How do you navigate these isms? Because you just talked about something that is really important when you even talk about healthy and unhealthy relationships. Do I let somebody have access to my phone if they're saying that they want to check to see if I'm cheating, or should I let them in? I mean, those are things that I'm learning, that these are a part of the relationship negotiations. Like, it's almost like my social media you need to have access to that to see what I'm doing. And so, oh wait, this person liked 10 of your pictures. That must mean X, Y, and Z. They like you. Have y'all been talking? You're not like, wait, what?
Yep.
I think they just like my picture. But it requires so much energy into navigating not only the real world of the relationship, but now, dang, it's the social media world that we also have to balance in this relationship. And so that, on top of trying to get to know a person, can be even extremely hard, especially when, okay, I just looked and you got 30 likes from this one person. What's that about?
So listen. Let me go back to the question you asked. You said, do I attract, you talk about cheating. Yeah. Do I attract that person to cheat because I'm not right? Absolutely not.
Okay.
Because we are flawed humans. We attracted another human with flaws.
That's good. Come on, Sean.
We attracted another human who's coming into our life with their flaws. The thing about it, this is the thing. Was I assigned? Was that my cross to carry? Was I that Boaz? Was I that person's partner to walk them through that as we grow together? And sometimes we take on other people's assignment or grab her or keep him because we want them just by our natural desires, and we don't pay attention to the signs and all of that type of stuff, and we just take it on, and now we stay in a relationship way too long that we never was supposed to be in the first place. Me and my wife did not make it 20 something years without having challenges. We had our challenges. Why? Because we are both human. But this was the thing. When we went through our challenge, we both ran to each other.
Not away.
To walk each other through that process. We didn't run away. We didn't take it to social media. We didn't go and tell family members. It was something that we ran to each other, and we covered one another. She began to pray for me. I prayed for her. We walked through that thing together. Why? Because we was called for one another.
Okay.
If I was with somebody else, bro, they wouldn't have wanted to walk me through that. If she was with another man, he wouldn't have wanted to walk her. But she was the one that God placed me with. So no, I don't know, not necessarily that person attract the person, attract a cheating person or a person that treats them bad or not bad or, things not working because they all jacked up. Not necessarily. You're attracting another flawed human being. And when they show up, you need to say, yo, am I willing to grow with you through this? You have to make that decision. But we attracting flawed human beings who need it. I'm not trying to preach. Who needed a savior in the first place.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, and that makes sense when you unpack it that way. Because I also hear you saying is the idea that part of what has to happen, and we talk about this a lot, just me and my sons, the idea of like trusting yourself, trusting your gut, listening to yourself, and believing yourself when you hear something and you feel it. And setting a boundary with people right away. There is no, I'm gonna let this go a day, I'm gonna let this go an hour, set the boundary, but really trust yourself. And I think that when we think about fatherhood and parenting, I think that is something, has to be also taught to our children, is that not only we do such a great job of teaching them how to listen to us, but I think the idea of helping a child understand the power of them listening to themselves and trusting that inner voice that tells them, no, this is right, this is wrong, I think is really important. And sometimes, even as a father, I miss the mark of saying to my sons, trust your gut, listen to yourself. What are you telling you?
Yeah.
Versus overpowering them with my voice and saying, do X, Y, and Z. But even in that, allowing them to choose their voice and hear themselves. And then when they make a mistake or whatever happens, when they choose their own voice, that you allow them to sort of work their way back through it versus coming and swooping in and rescuing and picking them up and making it easier, but allowing them to sort of figure out, okay, this is the environment, this is the choice I made. How do I get through this, versus them becoming adults who have not been able to use that skill set and trusting themselves, and then now navigating adulthood, and it is even more difficult because they really haven't had the tools and the opportunity to use their own voice from the very beginning as children. So I think that for me speaks to the power of that relationship, because the first relationship is the child and their parents.
Absolutely.
And trusting that voice can be really difficult, especially if the only voice that people keep telling you to trust is outside of you.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing about it, man, is that I need to reflect what a healthy relationship looked like.
Yeah.
Right? I need to reflect that, because I can't expect my kids to have a healthy relationship or expect a healthy relationship if I don't demonstrate that.
Yeah.
Right? I have to first demonstrate that. And so a lot of times, man, I look at these, relationships, working with the dads, and I'm like, and some people, they just like, yo, man, them women, they should have just known. I'm like, yo, they should have, right? They should have. Sometimes they just ignore the signs, for some, but some of these dudes, they got game, right? They got game and manipulate, and they find the right person who has unhealed trauma, whatever the case, right? But what happens is that cycle just repeat itself over and over and over and over and over again. But that child is seeing, like, man, dad got like 5 different houses, like, and mom have these many different boyfriends or whatever. So my thing is, going back to what you said, man, is that is when we are, as a man, when we are seeking a woman, we need to know what we are looking for, and we can't, there's no perfect woman out there. Right. And so you have to know what you're looking for. And when, like I said, when I pulled up on my wife, I was ready. I wasn't perfect. I was ready to be, taught by whoever was going to come in my life to help me grow. A man, right? That, like, to help me grow into the man that she would need me one day to become. So I was ready at that stage to be taught, to grow. I was, for the first time, I was ready to be monogamous. I was ready to be with one person. Right? I was ready. I had my mind made up. I didn't want to go into another relationship where I had to keep track of the stories I told.
Yeah.
Right? But I was ready for it. And so my thing is that, you want to be ready when you are trying to make that commitment. Don't make that commitment and you're not ready. Right? And
I feel that. And part of too what I want our viewers and audience to understand too, as we're talking about,
you want them to understand that you want them to understand that the whole topic changed. We were talking about parent burnout, but now we talk about something different.
Well, and then not only that, so it's a 2-part thing, right? Because I know that we, part of what we want to do as we begin to talk about family and talk about fatherhood, is to recognize that not every family looks the same. So even as we're talking about husband and wife, we also are recognizing same-sex couples as well, and that this challenge about finding a partner isn't just about a particular sex, but it really is about us understanding the power of relationships and how to navigate them successfully, and so that you do have the experience of having someone in your life that really cares for you and loves you, and that you have the opportunity to reciprocate that. But I also know too, this is still in the same vein as it relates to parent burnout, because again, if all those pieces in my personal life are jacked up, then that's going to show up in my frustration as a parent when I walk into that door. So I might be a little bit more irritated by my children. I might separate from them, like all of the things that kind of come with the idea of parent burnout, when I don't have enough space carved out for my own heart and for my own life, right? And I just sort of feel, from what I've learned from having parent burnout, is that when I didn't have myself in a space that I felt heard and valued, loved and appreciated, then I didn't have enough room to be able to give that same space for my children. And so I think it's the same vein, man. We're talking about the same challenges, and it really is, how do you navigate relationships and make them work and sustain them? And I love what you said about your wife. It wasn't that 20 years wasn't about you moving away from each other, but when it got deep, you moved into each other, not away. And I think that is such an amazing thing for all of us to begin to think about, when relationships don't look the way that we have imagined them or the movies told us they would feel like and be like. The truth of it is, if it's a relationship you believe it's worth having, then you don't move away, you move in.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of just saying, not only are we going to move in, but we're going to move in uninterrupted, and we're not going to bring all these other people in who have their own perceptions and ideas about what makes the narrative in our stories work. But we both, who have collectively come together to join with each other, have to be able to speak into each other. And I think, part of that for me is just recognizing, man, that takes honesty, it takes vulnerability, it takes courage to be able to sit across from somebody that you love and be your most vulnerable, exposed self.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of work,
this is the
man.
thing, man. This is the thing. Because we realized, Cole, that we wanted what nobody else around us had. So how can they tell us how to get through this or to grow into that if they never had it?
Wow.
So we really had to chart new territory alone and just grow through it. We had a great support system, right? But we were mindful of who we allow, and not because of we didn't want things to get exposed, but because we knew that certain people wouldn't understand, right? Because if I would have shared what we were going through, I know that a lot of people were like, yo, just say peace.
Yep.
It's not worth it.
Yeah,
right?
Real quick. And even the people that are the closest to you, the people that know you would be like, man, why are you still in that?
Yes.
Man, let that go.
Yes. So the thing was, we weren't going to bring or invite people into that space, because when it was over, we wanted to have a testimony. Number one, that God did it, but we obeyed Him, and He saw us through. And look what we did. Look what we did. So now when people see us, it's authentic. It's authentic because we've been through the fire, right? And that's the thing where in relationships, because bro, the easy thing is to leave. The easy thing is to quit. That's the easy thing. The hard thing is to stick it out when things are difficult and you don't know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
Right? That's the difficult thing in any relationship, at any job, any business endeavor, any relationship. The easiest thing to do is to walk away. The hardest thing to do is to stay.
Yeah. And then knowing when to walk away when it's extremely toxic. And I think that's the other part.
Yes.
That when it's toxic, that is causing a host of challenges, that there is no, we have to. I think that's important too. So I want our audience to know that we're not saying, hey, when the relationship is tough, that you stick in it, even if it's, life or death, or just life and death in the spirit of yourself. You have to know yourself. But it really is important around, if this is a relationship worth working through and you both agree to that, then, you do all the necessary work you need to do. But if that relationship is forming in a way that is causing you the kind of harm and stress that, can be health related, you do have to start making some choices about what's better.
And that's real, right? Because this is the thing, is sometimes people stay because of, I'm bringing the word up again, because of their trauma, right? Used to being abused, used to being saviors, right? That they would stay in those situations way longer than they supposed to.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're like, man, in the spirit of it'll get better, in the spirit of, I'm not going to quit, I'm going to see this thing through. Well, you have to really assess. You have to assess, you have to know what you have. What I realized, and I'm just talking about me personally, right? I knew on the other side, even though it was ugly, the one thing that kept us together was love. Mm. And we realized that our love was real and it wasn't superficial. Regardless of what took place, love was the thing that sustained us. It said love never fails. And so then I had to go and study what love means. And I'm like, man, love don't judge. It's not envious. It's not all these things. A lot of the things that I had. So I'm like, man, well, I need you to help us through this. And I had to begin to apply. And watch this. I had to start seeing my wife through his eyes. And my wife had to start seeing me through his eyes. Because if I would have looked at her through my natural eye, it was like, yo, it's not worth it. Vice versa. Yeah. So we had to look at each other through the creators, through our creator eyes, so that way we wouldn't look at all of their flaws or all of my flaws, right? Because I know I have a lot of flaws that I'm still working on. Yeah. But she see the potential. She see my heart. She see, all those things that is coming from a pure place. Like she like, all right, we'll grow through that. We're forever growing.
Yeah.
Forever growing. You know what I mean? So when you're in these relationships, right, you want to make sure that you are in a relationship, man, where you're being edified, where you're being built up. Watch this, even at your most ugliest state. What are they saying to you? What is he or she saying to you? Are they only calling out your flaws? Right? We can call out your flaws, but through love and patience.
Yeah. It took me a long time to understand the idea that getting into a relationship feels like a business. And I'm like, well, man, if you don't understand business, then you're gonna have a jacked up relationship too, especially if you don't understand, you don't have a business plan, you don't have a blueprint of like what the relationship should look like, what you should be striving for, along the journey. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay. And I soon discovered that part of my challenge is I didn't like to be alone. So I stay. Like, yeah, we gonna work through it. I figure it out, because deep down it's like, well, dang, I don't want to be alone. What does being alone look like?
Yeah.
And then that took me back to having to do therapy, only to find out that really what I was dealing with was issues associated with attachment. So I'm like, wait, what? Now we unpacking childhood? I'm fine. I'm
Come on,
good.
man.
You know what I'm saying? And so recognizing that, man, my challenges were associated to attachment and not trusting that I could be alone with myself and love myself.
That's good, man.
And so it took a while, and honestly, it's still, as you talk so well about just being transparent. Like, I'm still in that process of like, oh, it's okay.
Absolutely,
it's okay,
bro.
It's okay to not even have a pet. Like, no, you're not taking care of. No, but get you a plant. And I got a couple plants that I'm like, wow, I had 10 of them, 5 of them survived.
Yes, sir.
And I'm still working with them. And so it's like, okay, this is how I go back to the basics. And so that's been really my eye opener for me. Is like, man, this self-care, this healing process isn't something that is a 6-month process. Like, okay, I did therapy, 6 months later, now I'm free. Like, it really is an ongoing journey.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely,
I think part of parenting is that same process. It's an evolution.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? So my thing, man, in the conclusion of my last thought, man, of my thought and parent burnout, and it can come through relationships, right? Parent burnout, just dealing with your kids. My thing is, it's important I was just doing a coaching session with somebody before we got on here, man. And what I shared with the person, I said, listen, I can coach you through to the finish line, but I got to be transparent. We got to detox you from your thinking. I can't give you all of this information and then you still have that old way of thinking. All I'm going to do is do more damage to you, because what you're going to do, you're going to judge yourself on this new information established on a faulty foundation. Right? So I'm saying we have to unearth, we have to unpack, we have to realize like why you think the way you think. We have to detox from that old way of thinking before we give you new information, because I can do is give you all this information, but it's not on a strong foundation. So I don't want to, so I can't coach you to coach other people. because you first have to be coached and have to change the way you think, because now you out here coaching people and it's not from a real place. You just coaching from knowledge, right? Because you still, challenge in some of your areas. And that, and that's one of the challenges, man, that a lot of people want to help people. And I get it, but I just think that they deserve somebody who is intentional about helping themselves before they help you. And I'm not saying you have to be perfect. I'm just saying that that you have to at least be on somebody's couch, or not, literally, but you need to be working on you before you go out trying to work on other people, because you can be bringing some of your trauma, some of your stuff into that space.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I'm like, listen, I'm not one of those coaches that's going to coach you. I told her, I said, man, I could just take your money. I could just take your money, give you this information, we out. I said, but you know what? I wouldn't feel right that I would give you this information and then you leave and you not healthy and whole yourself. So I said, we'll slow this thing down, man. Let's work on you before you go out there and work on other people, because I don't want you to hurt other people through your unresolved trauma.
And I think that you wrapped us up. What you do always really, really well, man, is that is part of, really healing and getting through some of that burnout, is that it really is a requirement for parents in terms of their own self-care, is that they have to literally start taking care of themselves.
Absolutely.
And they've got to trust and listen to themselves well enough to know, wait, I'm feeling something, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed, and you've got to start actually processing through that and getting connected with people that you can trust, that can sort of help guide you through that, but then trusting that information that they're giving you to actually do something with it. And so I think that you're spot on, Ron. The goal is self-care and really working on yourself. And yes, I love my children, but I've come to learn and believe that, man, you cannot be prepared for life's issues if you haven't worked on yourself. And that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard in a world that tells us that we have to be all these other things other than who we ought to be, and that's just be ourselves. So I think you can do that.
Yes.
By first trusting yourself and believing in yourself and doing the work, the hard work.
Absolutely, man. Shakita said it on here, man. She said transformation is work.
Yeah.
It is, man. It is. If you want true transformation, it's work, man. It's work. And work looks differently for everybody.
Yeah.
If you look out your window in the morning, you see people going to work, some people in suits. Some people are in, uniforms. Work looks different for everybody. My thing is, man, you just do your work.
That's it.
Don't try to do somebody else's work. You do your work and you will see the transformation. It may be slow, but if you be consistent, you will see the results. And so our girl is not here tonight. She is out reading books to kids, with her author self. But she did leave us a legit or not legit tonight. So, ladies, this one is pretty cool. I wish she was here to say it. But what she said, if a girl have a birthday dinner and her man is there, I feel like he should cover the entire tab. Is that legit or not legit?
So... And she's saying cover the whole. So whoever she inviting, if they're getting a meal, like he should cover not just her, but the whole entire
tab
experience.
Yes, that's what. So she said, is that legit or not legit? I'm curious to know what her statement is. We're gonna ask her next week. But is that legit or not legit?
I'm gonna say it's legit. If I'm putting an if on it.
Ooh.
If y'all talked about it and if it's in the budget, you know what I'm saying? Ooh. If it ain't in the budget and y'all ain't talked about it, but then it's different, right? That's different degrees. Are y'all married? Is this, we just been dating and you having a birthday right around the time me and you get to know each other, and you expecting that from me? Like, there's layers to that. So now I'm wanting to say it's not legit.
Okay. Did you just talk yourself? You talked yourself right out of.
I had to process that out. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, you processing that. You processing that, boy.
That's a lot. That's a lot. So
you processed it. So my thing
I had to
is,
process that out.
So you say legit or not legit?
I'm gonna say. Can't I just say if?
No, you gotta say legit or not legit. Is it legit or not legit if your girl is having a dinner party and you are present? This meme says that the man is supposed to pay for the dinner party if he's present. If he wasn't there, he wouldn't have to pay for it. But he's present, he should pay for it.
Look, no. After I process that all the way through, man, it's conversations, it's degrees, so I'm going with not legit.
You said not legit. I'm curious to see what other people say. My statement is not legit.
Yeah, that's legit.
I'm not legit either. I'm curious to see what Tasha got to say next week. Curious what the people got to say. But right now, I'm saying not legit. You got to help me understand, especially way.
Tasha got to help us get that one. I don't know.
Hey, especially with my wife, she the money person in our house. So if I wanted to do it, she gonna give me a little side eye, like, because it's coming out of our same account, right? So I try to act like big bill, like I'm big and bad.
Yeah.
So
she's looking at you like, you know they could have paid for that. What you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, not legit. I don't know what Tosh got going on over there.
So we'll see. We have to have Virgil come on here with her and see what's up with that.
Yeah.
All right, man. Yo, another night in the books, man. You guys have a great week. You continue to dominate your lanes, man. We love you. Thank you for rocking out with us, man. And just remember, man, strong fathers create strong communities, man. And, we just want to make sure we are playing our part, man. So let's just keep doing it, all right? Till next time.
Have a great night, everybody.